Hello and welcome to this week's MMO's Tavern video. We will be looking at the first new 5-man instance in Mists of Pandaria. Let me wave to you here. That's my good old troll warrior Calamori. I will be taking you through the Temple of the Jade Serpent here. It's a 4-boss dungeon. The first 2 bosses, there is no real necessary order to them. There's some trash packs leading up to them. The first one we went to was in the water-themed area. And the first boss encounter, Wise Mari, takes place in this big open arena kind of area. It's really nice looking. There's a door in the back which is blocked off at the start. But when you engage the boss, he is, he's immune to all attacks. And he will kind of cause these big giant water walls in all of these various water pits in the room. Don't stand in the water. The water is quite painful. Now, at various times throughout the fight, he will summon these corrupt living waters from the 4 fountains based around the room, and they're really kind of simple, just small little ads, I guess you could say. They're similar to the trash packs that are before the boss encounter itself. When they die, they leave an oil slick and then several smaller ads that should be AoE'd down. The boss will summon 4 of these. I believe I show 3 in the video. They're really kind of manageable. The hardest part at this point of the fight is just avoiding the water walls and not standing in the water. Especially because it's usually, we're so used to not standing in fire. Water is, good for you, except for that segment right there with all those streams of negative numbers that a raider like myself is kind of ashamed to show in the video. I should have cut those out, but oh well, too late now. So we have to deal with 4 of these packs. And it's actually a really simple encounter, but then again, part of that is because everyone that I have so far run with in the existing dungeons has been kind of really high level in terms of their gear. Like, I'm sitting in mostly heroic Dragon Soul gear, and so are these other people. And then once you finish up with those 4 ads, the boss becomes actually engageable, and he starts shooting this big old water jet and spinning around slowly in circles. You don't want to stand the water jet, as I just showed. It hurts. He doesn't have an aggro table at this point, which is kind of lame, and we also lost our healer on this encounter, so you really just want to not get hit. But the good thing is that all the damage at this point of the fight is entirely avoidable, and it just becomes a burn phase where you just need to sit there and run around, well, not sit there, you need to run around in a circle and shoot this guy and punch this guy and stab him and throw spells at him until he finally keels over. So it's a fairly simple boss encounter. I'm sure on heroic difficulties there's going to be something else added that we don't know about, like maybe a stacking AoE damage buff or something, or I don't know. But it's a very fun encounter, especially for one of the first ones here. It is, as I said, easy, but then again, that is quite possibly because of our gearing. So, well, he's just about to go down here. We ended up actually beating this with only 3 people. Because, well, a lot of us got hit by the water jet, not expecting that at all. Ooh, there I said some water again. Water should, they should make it look like fire, I think. So once you beat him, you have the other boss and the other side to deal with. Now this side is kind of like a library, as you'll notice here in a moment, with all sorts of books and scrolls and the like around the walls. There isn't a whole lot of lore presently in the game right now for explaining what the Temple of the Jade Serpent is, but, because there's a lot of stuff that's in, there's a lot of placeholder, it happens. And the next boss takes place down on the second, or the bottom level of this, and there's a scene that I guess is supposed to happen here that is not presently in, and at the moment. Then we have the suns that all show up. We beat up on these suns. That one in the left there goes down, and Shah spawn from them. And the Shah, as explained from BlizzCon last year, are these physical manifestations of negative feelings like anger and doubt and hate and things like that. And they've just recently started to really kind of plague the continent of Pandaria, possibly because the Alliance and the Horde just showed up and decided to start a war in this beautiful, beautiful countryside. So the Sha themselves are fairly simple. They're easy to take down, except when a mage decides to tank one. But hey, mages do that from time to time, I hear. Once all of them are defeated, the remaining negative energy goes into the guy who was kind of with you. I believe his name was Zhao. And once he gets overtaken, he just starts going crazy with his crossbow and shooting everyone. And I do mean literally everyone. Like the other boss, he doesn't really have a threat table, so he's just going to sit there and just start taking shots at people at random. I tried taunting him a few times, and I know that my threat generation isn't perfect at present because warriors are, well, all tanks are doing lower damage than they're intended. But once he's done, let's go ahead and jump to the next area. That door that was in the back of the room, similar to the Wise Mari room, opens up, allowing you a shortcut into the central courtyard. The central courtyard is blocked off when you enter the instance, and there are about 3 or 4 packs of Sha in the room, as well as a boss. And the boss becomes targetable and engageable once you defeat the trash packs. Now, Lou Flameheart, the boss here, is actually one of the first ones in the instance that actually has mechanics that you have to really kind of pay attention to, which was a very nice change of pace from the first 2 bosses of the dungeon. Shortly here, she summons up 4 flame waves that you need to get out of the way of because, well, it's fire, and why would you want to get hit by fire? Appears that she does this at roughly every 25% health, or possibly every 20% health. Now, we got her to do that twice before she switched over to her next type of flame, or her next waves, which appear to be like kind of like a blue-green kind of fire, turquoise maybe. I don't know. Make fun of me in the comments for not knowing my colors. She did this twice. They leave behind flame trails, which obviously you don't want to stand in. And then once she got to a certain percentage of health, she starts channeling her energy into one of these cloud serpents. And once you start fighting the serpent, that becomes essentially your new boss. It kind of turns into a little bit of a tank and spank fight, except every now and then he kind of like will throw out a little fire patch that will stick on the ground, which I stood in right there. But again, it really wasn't an issue because of the level of gearing that we had relative to the instance itself. And then once you beat the serpent, Lou Flameheart is defeated, and you get 99,000 experience. The final boss is the Sha of Doubt, and he is a really interesting boss in that he kind of reminds me of an old boss from Wrath of the Lich King, the final boss of An-Kahet, Harold Volage. He's, for the most part, a fairly simple encounter. He's just kind of a tank and spank. And then, I don't have the timer for it, but on a timer he has this ability which causes the inner doubt of the players to become manifested, and we then have to defeat it. The easiest way to go about this is just to gather them all up and just AoE them all down. Now, we didn't get him to do this on the second encounter, and he's fairly easy. So I figured, you know, I'll take the rest of this time as we watch the rest of this boss encounter to give you my impressions on the dungeon as a whole. As a whole, I really enjoyed this dungeon. It's simple, it's quick. I mean, we were doing this, I think I did it 3 or 4 times. The longest it's taken me to do is 20 minutes. Maybe that's a little bit too short. Maybe they need to up the difficulty a little bit, but with the new direction of a more casual style dungeon that they want to go with, I'm totally fine with this, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was brief, it was to the point, and I can't wait to see when they throw in a little story here. So, but that is the Temple of the Jade Serpent. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you next week.